Today we're talking all about fall kickoff events for your youth ministry, and stick around to the end because we're going to give you 20 event ideas to get you started.
Welcome to the Ministry Coach Podcast, where we bring you weekly tips and tactics to help you fast track the growth and health of your youth ministry. My name is Jeff Lascola, and this is
Kristen Lascola.
And today we have a super fun topic for you guys. It's about how to pull off a really fun and successful fall kickoff.
We're already talking about fall, Jeff?
Oh my gosh.
Ernie Gersh.
Should have been talking about fall a long time ago.
Womp womp. Youth ministry fail.
And also, make sure you guys stick around to the end because we have 20 really fun fall kickoff event ideas for you. And if you'd like the PDF of all these ideas so you don't have to quickly write them down, email us at ministrycoachpodcast@gmail.com.
Wow. We really go above and beyond.
We can send that out to you guys.
We do. We go above and beyond. I mean, who does that? I have never listened to a podcast where people are like, I'll give you my notes and just, all you do is ask.
That's how we do it.
And also, I cannot believe, I feel like we seriously just started talking about summer, and now we're in the last week of July, and this is crazy. This is crazy. All right, so let's talk about fall kickoff, because in our world, it's really right around the corner when you consider doing the math of backwards, because you have to promote before, you can't just all of a sudden like, let's have an event.
Right.
Like, you have to promote and plan. So really, this is the latest we can be talking about it. So I'm glad we're doing it. So we're going to talk a little bit about the purpose of a fall kickoff. Like, are we, like, sometimes when people say that, I'm like, what are we celebrating? Fall? Like, don't get me wrong. Fall's my favorite season, of course. But it's like, what is the point?
It's a lot of, obviously, back to school,
Yeah, but even that, it's like...
Well, they wouldn't, students wouldn't be celebrating
exactly.
that.
What is the point? And the reason a fall kickoff is so important is because when I hear fall, I almost synonymously hear small groups. To me, that is what, like, it's all about small groups. Fall is small group focused. Now, we do small groups in the summer because I learned that for my group, we lose too much relational momentum by taking a break. With that being said, I feel like the small groups in summer are just different than the small groups in fall. And that's probably why a lot of people take a break from them, because they feel different. And I think that's why summer is so tricky, because
vacations and all that stuff.
It fluctuates, and then your leaders are gone a ton, and I just figure I'm going to patch holes and make it work rather than just say, we're not doing it at all. But when school starts and fall rolls around, I kind of feel like it's this refresh, like, consistency. We get back in our rhythm, back in our game of like, all right, everyone's here. Nobody's going anywhere. We can get a real idea of what our numbers are. We might need to split small groups. Like, it just feels more stable. And I think that's why we can, like, let's pour some energy into this. Let's pour some gasoline into this small group tank. And I think what your ministry should revolve around, and what our church itself revolves around, is small groups. Like, that is we call it the hub of our ministry. So what you pour the most resources into shows what's most important to your ministry. And I see small groups as a real growth engine. So that is the purpose. It's all about small groups. So with that being said, the event that we choose, we should make small groups incorporated in there somehow. It's not just like, let's celebrate the fact we have small groups.
Right.
But when we have teams for different games or things like that, the teams should be small groups. So a lot of times I do boys versus girls, because to me, that's the easiest split. Sometimes I'll do 6th versus 7th versus 8th, I'll do that kind of thing. But for this night, really, you have to center it around small groups being the team, because we want them to work together. We want them to collaborate and get to know each other, get reacquainted. We want them to win and lose together. We just want them spending a lot of time investing in each other right off the bat. So when should we do it? Well, you should start promoting, I say, about 3 weeks out. So that'd be now. now's a good time to promote. So this should be your project for the week. Now would be a good time to promote, and the time to execute the event. I feel like the week that school starts, it could be that week, but that's a little risky. I feel like some people are in such a whirlwind that is also a very low attendance week because people are like, oh no, I have to get up early again. And oh no, like I have to get all my school supplies. And people are still a little bit of in a weird rush that week. So the week right after, I feel like people are solidifying their schedules.
Okay.
And I feel like you get a little bit more stability. So like for us, school starts August 17th. So we would do this event that very following Tuesday, whatever that ends up being, the 21st, 2nd, something. So
does school starts on the Monday, or is it like on a Wednesday? Okay. So
yeah.
I don't know. Not going to do that math.
No, but the point is you want to maybe do it the week right after school starts. So people are like, okay, now I can focus on some things. And then sometimes the question comes up, should this be an outreach or whatever? Not necessarily. I coined this term, but I think it should be an in-reach, meaning that this is what, like, those people you haven't seen all summer, those people you haven't seen in a long time, we're not necessarily trying to get new people. We're trying to get our family back together around the table and say, hey, we miss you guys. Let's like get more consistent again. So I'm going to talk about promotion in just a minute, but part of that is you want to reach out to the people you haven't seen all summer, or, you know, maybe they took a few months off and you want to just get your low hanging fruit first. The people who already have attended, who probably attended a small group before. Maybe they, you know, were consistent on the weekends, but not youth group. I don't know. But the people you already have, I would say that's who this event is for. I have another event I do in the fall that is my big outreach, but this is like family, like let's get the family back together.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Okay, so promotion is always the groundwork to a very successful event. So you can't just skip over to, let's start ordering stuff on Amazon and setting up this and planning the games and all that. That'll come later. But if nobody's coming to your event and nobody knows about your event and no one's excited for your event, what's the point, right? So here, I feel like we haven't talked about promotion strategies in a long time. Well, I know we have before, so we're going to just dip back into that for a minute. So get those parent emails rolling again. So if you have fallen off the bandwagon of the consistency of sending out your weekly parent email, start it up again. Now's a really, really good time to do that. Parents should be hearing from you once a week. Youth pastors will ask us, well, I only have 5 parents. Okay. Then
they're not reading them together.
Here, can we just pause on that for a second? I feel like sometimes people hear our strategies and then they say, well, I only have a couple kids. It doesn't matter if you have 5 kids, 50 kids, or 150 kids. These strategies work for every single size group. Like you can't, like, I feel like sometimes we look at a small group and we just feel like, we don't have to do that kind of stuff.
Right.
But to that, I would say that sort of mentality, if you build it, they will come. And if you don't, they won't. Like, I'm so big on, if you're always treating your youth ministry like a small youth ministry and that you don't have to do these extra steps because you're small, it's like, yeah, but it's still the same discipline. People need to know information. It doesn't matter if there's 5 or 50 of them. They all need to know. So when you act professionally and organized and you have what people are looking for, that is now creates something attractive that other people are going to come into. But if you treat it small, like, who cares? We're all just friends here.
Right.
We don't need to be so formal. Well, it's just always going to stay like that.
Yeah.
You build it first. You don't wait. All these people came.
Right.
Oh no, now I need to send out an email. It's like, no, you've been treating it that way all along. I think that's the reverse engineer of that people sometimes can't wrap their head around.
If you all of a sudden had this viral growth, that sounds horrible. If you all of a sudden had this like explosive growth, that sounds horrible. If you guys all of a sudden had a lot of growth that came all at once and you didn't have these things put in place, these systems and all that stuff, you probably wouldn't be able to sustain it. And that would be like the
Right.
worst thing to have happen. It was like, we did get a bunch of kids. Nobody stuck around because we didn't know
Yeah.
what we were doing.
And, I think you could even, like, I don't mean this to be too far of a stretch, but that biblical concept of faithful with a little
Yeah.
and then you receive much. I don't think you treat like a youth group like with less intentionality, respect, and purpose because it's small.
Right.
It's like, well, it's still a youth group. You still have parents, you still have students. So just act like it's big, and maybe it will be someday.
There's obviously some trim to fit type things, like
For sure.
certain games you can play or certain things you can or can't
Absolutely.
do, but all the ingredients would be the same.
Yes, 100%. And to be honest, I have done ministry the same way when I was very small and now being a larger ministry. Like nothing in my strategy really changed. A little bit of the execution and what I can and can't do just based on size, but none of my, like you said, ingredients. And that's why I like scratched my head one day of like, why did we grow? Because I've been doing it the same way all this time. And so there's other factors I think at play in the church overall. But I mean, yeah, it was always the same ministry for the most part. So get those. We're going back to promotion. We kind of took a little bunny trail over there, but get those weekly parent emails going. Parents are your first number one people to communicate because they keep the calendar, they keep the schedule, and most students are being driven by their parents. So get the parent emails going weekly. Like we said before, reach out to those people you haven't seen in a while, especially if you're a smaller church. You're very aware of who is not there that should be there. Get on the phone, call them. If it's a student, text them, DM them, whatever you want to do.
Do they live nearby? Show up at their door.
Show up at their doorstep at 2 a.m. with cupcakes and like, just where are they? Hey, we miss you. We'd love to see you. Did you know we're starting our fall kickoff? We'd love for you to come. Your small group misses you, whatever it might be, but make sure they know they are on your radar. You can reach out personally. I did that a lot over COVID. Literally picked up the phone and just talked to people like, we miss you. How are you doing? It's weird. I was uncomfortable, but I did it. Okay. So do something crazy like a mailer, I feel like once in a while, I really like to send things in the mail to my students. So this could be, you could come up with a cool graphic, dates, times, can't wait to see you, and just make a super simple postcard and send it out to students. If you're a smaller ministry, it's going to be easy peasy.
Right.
Couple of stamps, address, you're good. Get your staff together. Everyone can help you do it if it's a bigger mailer. But I feel like that just adds a little extra, like, ooh, like a physical invitation. People aren't used to getting those. I don't do that for everything, but I think once in a while, I like to send something out in the mail. Another thing you could do is obviously social media. So on your Instagram, and a lot of people will say, well, my students aren't on Instagram because I have younger kids. Well, their parents are. So
Right.
do it for their parents. Also, what I've noticed is maybe a lot of my students aren't on Instagram, but a lot of kids in the community are, and they follow us and they see what we're doing because they know their friends go to our youth group and they want to know what's going on. So post on social media, even if it just reaches a few people, it is definitely worth it. Then live announcements, don't forget those at church on the weekends or at your youth group. Another live announcement platform that I think is really great is getting yourself into the main stage and the main auditorium like 1 or 2 weekends. Like, hey, if you have a middle schooler, we're so excited we're doing our fall kickoff. We're ramping up our small groups. We love the community that happens in these groups, and we encourage you, get your middle schooler there. It's going to be a blast. If you have any questions, just write down your name on your communication card and I'll email you this week. So just getting your face in front of the adults, I think is important as well. And then I like to do sometimes for events, like we do funny commercials for them where it's just something real simple we could throw on our social media. We were doing IGTV for a while. Now reels are a little bit bigger, but
I don't think IGTV even exists
Does
anymore,
it not?
does it? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe. I haven't used it in a long time, but you could do like a little funny commercial where you're just talking to the kids, promoting the event, or something you show at your youth group about small groups, fall kickoff, whatever. That takes a little more creativity and time. but always fun if you can pull it off. And then making sure it's announced online. If your youth group doesn't have a website, why not? Get it online, or you could put it on your church website if you have like a student ministry section. So our church website does have a student ministry section and my stuff is on there, but I like to have a little more space to be creative and introduce my staff and our calendar and some videos from camp. And so we bought a domain, chaosjh.com, if you want to check it out and see how we've structured ours. It's very simple to maintain. It's through Squarespace, which is pretty user-friendly and pretty cheap. And so I make sure every time I email the parents, I say, hey, here's what's coming up. If you're ever curious, like you forget what's going on or you couldn't remember the details, check out chaosjh.com. And all of our information's on there. So you could put your fall calendar up there with your fall kickoff event, promoted, all that kind of stuff. So that is promotion. And timeline, I don't know if I said it already, should start about 3 weeks before the event. I think a month is kind of sometimes too early because that's like 4 whole weeks. I found the sweet spot to be about 3 weeks of promotion so that it doesn't become white noise, but it doesn't feel like, next week we're doing this, and give them a little bit of time, especially if they're not attending every week,
Yeah. You can use, if you did want to do that extra week, you could kind of do it as like a total teaser where you're like, I'm not even sure what this is, but it sounds cool. Like you're
you
not
don't
even
tell them what it
no,
is.
Maybe just
we've
the date,
done that before.
like kind of like coming on this day.
That's what we do for our big fall outreach event, the battle. We do like boom, boom.
Right.
Boom, boom. And it's like black and it's all dark in the room coming October.
Right.
Every Tuesday. And then it just ends.
Right.
You're
and
like,
just kind of like, wait, what is
happening?
it? So yeah.
Build the anticipation. All right, let's talk about program.
Okay.
So we talked about purpose, promotion, program, the 3 P's of the fall kickoff. All right. So pick a super fun theme and we're going to talk about 20 of them.
Yeah.
And we're going to save our favorite for the end. So stick around. But yeah, we'll go through them quick. If you're like, oh my gosh, how are we going to talk about 20 things? We're going to do it really fast.
Right. So again, if you did want this list, email us at ministrycoachpodcast@gmail.com. We can send it over to you. It's going to be a little more detailed in the email, but overall it's going to be kind of like all these ideas kind of written out so you can see them and not have to memorize them or quickly write them down.
And make them your own too. Like we're not going to give you step 1, do this. It's just, here's the idea, run with it. So one big tip I have on the program element is make sure you make it the same night, time, and location as your program. Like this is to me not the time to like, I've done the whole like pool party, blah, blah, but it's like, it's super fun, but it misses the mark. And I've learned that the hard way. And the reason for that is I've had new students try to come because their parents are like, it's time for you to get in a junior high small group. Wait, who's Jesse? And it's at his house. And where does he live? And it's not at the church. And I don't know. Like, it's just this weird like dissonance. And I just don't think people aren't as comfortable and it's not as accessible. So just keep it at the church. Save your pool party for another time. You should have been doing them in the summer anyways. And so because we said so much of the purpose is small groups, make sure there is a portion of the night where they're actually meeting in their small group. So give them a little time at the end to have their first small group that they've had in a while. Do something fun. It doesn't have to be a super deep discussion, but give them some prompts, even if it's just 10, 15 minutes after they've done the fun event all together and people are all hyped. They've got to meet together, like just in their small group for a little bit. Make sure you do that. Make sure that there is a prize at the end of the night for the winning small group, and post it. We want social media stuff for this. That probably goes without saying. And I think one fun element of this night, no matter what theme you choose, you could do some kind of photo booth. And I think it's so cool to get a picture of the small group on that night, and you can print it out for every small group. And the way that my small groups function, like for attendance and their talk sheets, I have folders. They're just 3 ring binders with the clear cover, and it says like Johnny and Jed's small group. And they pick that up every Tuesday, and it already has their talk sheet and their attendance in it, but you could put the picture in the front. And so everyone kind of remembers that night, and it's a picture of their small group, and you can just see how they change throughout the year and stuff like that. So having a picture of the small group, I think anytime we have pictures with people it sort of creates these family ties a little bit, and this like, hey, we're buds. And I think that's the whole thing we're trying to kick off, is like, we were in a picture together. So let's talk about the 20 ideas.
Okay.
We're going to try to run through these super quick. This one used to be my go-to. Number one was a tailgate themed. I don't even like football, but it just kind of lent itself to that. So we would have everyone wear their favorite jersey.
Yeah.
And inevitably you have kids like, I don't have a jersey. And I'm like, okay, just wear your favorite team color. I don't know. And then, or put the like black under your eye, or just try to be sporty in some kind of way. And we would always play for a person who doesn't like football, one of my favorite youth group games is Ultimate Football. Right. So then you have a barbecue, you have hot dogs going, you kind of make it the football theme. Recently, I've loved using the ESPN theme song for when we play flag football, or, it just is like, ooh, like the tech guys thought of that. I'm like, I like what you did there. So theme it up. And you could give a prize at the end to.
Are you talking about the Monday Night Football theme song? No, it doesn't matter.
All right.
Number 2, you guys can do a luau themed party. Same idea, but it would obviously be luau themed. So if you do have it outdoors, use those little tiki torches and things like that, and just all the little touches that add
snow cone machine.
Yeah, shave ice. Somehow ice. Not said as shaved.
It's a command.
Ice.
Shave ice.
Yeah, do it now.
It's a verb. Yeah, that's fun. Like maybe you have someone who could give you hula lessons or something. I don't know. That could be super fun. I don't know. What's a Hawaiian game, Jeff?
I have no idea. But you can do a hula hoop contest. You'd be surprised how many people can or can't do that.
Decades is another fun theme. So you could do 50s, 70s. You skipped 60s.
What is 60s though? Surf culture maybe? Because like if you say 50s, everyone knows what you're talking about. 70s, 80s, 90s, every one of those decades has a theme.
But were the Beatles 60s?
They were 50s through into 60s, and
maybe those two kind of
70s.
blend together. Okay, 50s, 70s, 80s. Dare I say 90s? How is 90s a theme now? But it is. I just feel like it's just, that's my childhood. So whatever. Yeah. So there's so much fun stuff you can do there. People are always so excited.
And that can be a little bit of an easier one too.
It can, because you can do, here's where my mind would go, dance party with that themed music, obviously dress up, and then anytime we dress up, I always love having a catwalk, and people can catwalk, and then we choose like who dressed the best that night, or have people vote. You could do trivia for that, like pop culture
based
trivia
off of
for
that
the
time.
90s.
Games that could have been popular during that time too.
Right. Or you could do
not Chubby Bunny though. That one's never going to be back in style.
Deadly Bunny. You could do Seen It, like show a clip of like a 90s movie and then pause it and then ask a bunch of questions, like a little clip of Mrs. Doubtfire. Was that 90s?
I think so.
Yeah. Or other 90s shows like Power Rangers or whatever, and then ask the questions. I think that's a super fun game. So lots of ideas there. I've seen some youth groups do carnival themed.
Like a circus kind of carnival theme.
Yeah, with like carnival games, and like you set them up and people can win tickets, and tickets translate to candy or prizes or whatever it might be. So,
and if your leaders are running those like little carnival style games, have them be kind of creepy. You'll really get into character and make it seem like an actual carnival.
Like put bags under their eyes, like just a little dark. Yeah. Have them not shave for a while.
Maybe not. That's up to you.
And then you can have all the fun carnival food. Like you could do popcorn and pretzels and cotton candy, all that kind of stuff. And it's fun. Like you could make it a small group competition in the sense of like whichever small group earns the most tickets. So you can look up on Pinterest DIY carnival games. I've done a few and they're fun. They're cheesy, but like, they work.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. This one I've never done, but I'm doing it. Jeff and I were talking about it this morning. The Floor is Lava obstacle course. Our daughters are so into the Floor is Lava show right now. And I was already thinking like, oh my gosh, like I would either have this whole obstacle course and like time people as they go through it, or if my group was small enough, then I would have them competing at the same time, whoever finishes it first, like just throwing like a couch cushion on the floor and then a small rug and then like a
wooden pallet
2x4 and
And make it a little
a
challenging,
weird
like where they have
box
multiple
chair.
like directions to go. That wait, I need to go this way first
to like
to get
the
something
pool
and then
noodles,
bring
like,
something back.
Yeah.
Just to make it a little
Yeah.
more challenging.
I know. I'm really, and like, I feel like I can already see it, like theming it like with intense music
Right.
and like
Fog
red lights,
machines.
strobes. Yeah, I'm so into this. I can't wait. I'm going to do it.
All right, number 6 is a glow in the dark event. That could also be like a lock-in. Like we did a whole episode on
That's
this.
what I was going to say. We did a whole episode on the Glover Nighter. We'll link it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can just check that out. Number 7, a reverse escape room. That is like an escape room, but instead of trying to get out of the room, you're trying to get like into a treasure box
Yeah.
and then like
So you had to figure out certain codes and combinations to eventually get the combo lock or whatever to get into a treasure box or something like that. First team that does it wins, but it's something that will last a little while, not like a 2-minute game or something.
yeah. So those take a little time to write, but they're really fun. Photo scavenger hunt. This is one that I've done before where I've done it 2 ways. Number 1, you can do it around your town. And that's what I did when my group was smaller. It was so fun. We live in a town called Fallbrook, so we called it the Fallbrook scavenger hunt. And it was like this whole thing where I would write clues and riddles and things that they'd have to find around our town.
Yeah.
And then they would get in cars and then get out, take a picture, hurry and get back. And whichever team made it back first with the most correct clues won. That was every kid's favorite event.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm too big to do it now, but man, I would do it in a heartbeat again if we were smaller. If you're too big like me to do it, then you can find things around the church to do that. So, clues about different classrooms or locations or stuff in the church itself. Make them a little cryptic or make it something obscure and harder to find, not just like take a picture in front of the plant in the
Right.
hallway, but something maybe you hid stuff around or whatever.
Number 9 is a color powder war. We've done a whole episode on how to make an
yes.
epic color powder war, so make sure you guys check that out. And then number 10 is a tie-dye event, which is pretty simple. Again, a little bit easier on the planning. But basically, you have the students bring white t-shirts that they want to have tie-dyed, and you have the stations set up, and they can kind of do their own design and all that stuff. Rubber bands or something like that. I've never actually done a tie-dye.
Yeah, you just need the dye, which is pretty cheap, some plastic gloves,
Buckets.
rubber bands, and the buckets of stuff. So it can get a little messy, so I would do it outside, but it's a lot of fun. Slip and slide kickball. So this one you could play at a park, in a field, on the beach.
But you don't want to leave your
That's true.
event,
You don't
so
want to leave.
You need that grass field
If you don't have a
it.
grass field at your church, I probably wouldn't recommend
Strike
doing this
that.
on asphalt. But basically, you lay down a giant tarp, you use some tear-free soap and some water to make it a little slippery, and then you basically play kickball on it, and it's super duper fun. If you don't have the giant tarp, you could
just for each base path.
yeah, you could make like a strip of tarp. Oh, it's like the plastic.
Yeah, I think it's like the 6 mil landscaping, whatever. We can link to it. In
Yeah,
the
you get a
description.
like hardware store or
Right.
whatever, and you could do a strip of that between like first and second,
Yeah.
second and third.
And we've
whatever.
had one that's lasted years. So if you take care of them, it's a good investment to make. Number 12 is Water Wars. We did a whole episode a couple years ago about socially distanced water games. All of them would still be appropriate, and now you can get closer and you don't have to be 6 feet apart, so that's always a bonus too. So make sure you guys check that out. But it's basically just an event that's all about water games, so have them bring their swimsuits or any clothes that are willing to get wet, and it's a super fun way to kick off your event.
Yeah, number 13. This is a very big favorite among our church is Nerf Wars. The trick here is you need a lot of Nerf guns. So you could either have kids bring their own if kids don't bring their own. This is one that you could put in your pocket and save for next year and
Right.
spend the year trying to collect Nerf
And
guns.
this is another thing. If you are a smaller group, you're almost at an advantage because you can get them
Amen.
for your group.
You can.
If you have 150 kids, you're not buying 150 Nerf, guns. But
Right.
if you had 10 kids, that's potentially something that you could afford. So
Yeah, and you could like use the whole church and
Right.
like
put
each
up
small group
little
as a
obstacle
team.
things or
Yeah.
or things that they can hide behind, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's super duper fun. All right, number 14, Olympic events. So you could have each small group be a different country, and you could do some different summer Olympic events. They don't have to be the official ones. You could come up with your own youth group
versions of them.
Yeah, and again, with the Olympic theme music, and someone has to come in with a torch, and I mean, it doesn't have to be real, but just you've got to ham all these details up. Get them like paper flags for their team and all that kind of stuff and compete. You could do all kinds of races and you could do a 3-legged race. You could do a jousting. You could do whatever, tons. Silent disco.
Yeah, explain that because
I could be wrong, but here's what I think.
No, it is what you think it is.
We were talking about the other day. I'm like, I have never done it. So pretty much everyone has their own music in their ears. So AirPods, earbuds, whatever.
Or you can rent the headphones, things that you use.
Okay.
And there's like 3 different channels you can do. And one can be like Disney songs, and one's like 80s music, and one's like worship music. And everyone's just like having a little party and going off of the channel that they like. To me, it does not sound like the funnest event.
It doesn't.
But every time I've heard youth pastors do it, they say their kids love it. So it might be worth a shot.
I mean, we have a lot of dance parties.
Right.
I've never done the silent disco, but
could be funny. I think if people are listening to different songs and dancing, it's like, wait, what song are you listening
Never know.
to?
I mean, junior hires dancing, that's pretty much what it feels like anyways.
What song are you listening
I know.
to?
Like, what? Okay, I see. Whatever, you go. You be you. It's all good. Number 16, I used to love this show.
Throwback.
American Gladiators. Oh my gosh, my sister and I would watch it all the time.
This is where you have students versus leaders, and this is where your leaders need to go like level 10 of over the top hamming it up.
Yeah. Unitards, sweatpants.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but
What? I would. Yeah.
And it's a great chance to pummel some students. Who wouldn't want that?
Right. There's a satisfaction of throwing a dodgeball at a kid sometimes. So yeah, you could do like leaders versus students, dodgeball, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I mean, I guess in a sense it would sort of defeat the purpose they want if a small group is the team.
You can still team them up. It's just that their team is going against the gladiators. Your gladiators are the leaders.
Yeah.
And you have your kids break up into different teams. So the red team is going against the gladiators in this event. And then the blue team is going against the gladiators in this event.
Okay.
They're still always, and whichever one did better gets a point or gets to win or whatever it is.
Yes. Okay. I love that. I think my leaders would really love that. So a red carpet movie night. So you could get a red carpet. There's places that you can rent those with rope lines. You could ask a few parents or volunteers in your church to act as a paparazzi. We've done that before, and it's really fun. They just come and just yell things. Well, who are you wearing? Trevor, over here. Trevor, as kids are arriving, and it's really, really fun.
Have your step and repeat wall. It can be a giant white wall. You can just put your logo on it. You can either have one of these printed, or you can just do it really cheap and just put butcher paper and print out little tiny logos and tape them on there. When you take pictures, it looks exactly the same. So.
Yeah, it really does.
But just going over the top, making it fun, making it all these should basically be making it a memorable event that students are like, that was awesome. I can't wait to come back next week kind of thing.
Yeah. And at that event, you could do like the Instagrammies. So that would basically be like each small group submits one video and then we show it that night, and then you give awards per category. So best leading actor was Brandon in I Spilled My Milk, and or the best comedy or the best creativity or the most artistic, whatever it might be. And then you can have the whole small group come up and receive their award, and they can give a speech.
That's kind of in lieu of actually watching an actual movie.
Yeah, it's more fun to watch movies made by the kids. So that would just be a little bit of an announcement ahead of time, like, hey, and let them use small group time to do it. Like, hey guys, next Tuesday, your small group, when you guys meet for Bible study, you guys got to film a 20-second video and then give it to me, and then we'll do it at our Instagram night.
Instagrammies theoretically could be a better event for down the road, but if you can make it as part of this event, be super cool. And have like bouncers there, like your leaders in all black, getting VIP tickets and things like that. That's something you can send in the mail to your students, is a ticket to enter.
Ooh, that'd be fun
for the movie.
Yeah, I love that. Number 18 is an outdoor movie night. So kind of winding down the summer, you could do the projector with the screen, bring a blanket and a chair, and you guys could do a whole outdoor fun movie night, have some concessions, because we know kids, they love their treats. We always talk about, you got to have treats. If there's no treats, don't even bother. Don't even bother. So yeah.
Number 19 is a lip sync battle. Super easy to do because realistically, you can actually do this like, I don't want to say on the fly, but that night be like, hey, pair up with your small group, pick one of these, predetermined songs and figure out how you're going to do your lip sync and all that stuff.
I think we've said that in an episode
I don't
before.
Remember which one
it was totally spontaneous. We didn't plan to do it. It was one of the funnest nights we ever had. So every small group, like you were saying, picked a song, pre-approved list. We let them all go off to their own area for about 10, 15 minutes. We had this huge random costume bin that was like all stuff I'd collected over the years. I mean, thrift store stuff, whatever. They got to go and get a few costumes, and then they were up and they had to go on, and they hardly had any time to prepare, and they went up and they had to perform in front of everyone. Every small group went, and it was incredible. Yeah. Incredible.
All right. Number 20.
Our
favorite. This is pretty cool. This will take a little bit of work and some money, but would definitely be worth it. It is called the Giant Small Group Kickoff, or Giant Small Group Event, however you want to name it. But it's basically every game you play is like the giant version of that. So during free time, you can have like giant Jenga out there. And then during some of your games, you can they sell these giant inflatable bowling pins, and there's a bowling ball too. But I say take a skateboard, put a student on it, and they're facing backwards. And the other small group kids push them, and they can't use their arms to knock pins down, but they can guide it, but they're going backwards. So their kids are telling them which way to go, and you can just determine if you want to give them the actual official 2 rolls or just the 1, and however many pins they get knocked down. You can also do, what are some other events?
Giant cornhole.
Oh, yeah. So the lumber prices have gone up, but if you have someone willing to donate it, just take the giant 4x8 sheet of wood, cut a giant hole in there, and you have 2 of them, and use pillows, throwing them as the cornhole little bean bags. It's super funny to watch. I feel like this is all like
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or something. You had we couldn't call it beer pong, but you'd call it
the same beer pong idea. But
yeah, it's like you get trash cans and you set them up all in the rows, and then have the kids throw like a dodgeball or a playground ball and try to make it in the...
And then instead of having to have so many balls that they fill it up, just if they get it in a trash can, you just flip over that trash can so it can't go in there anymore. But super fun. You got, just creative, that's the name of the game, I feel.
And then whoever wins, maybe they're accumulating points throughout the night, they win giant prizes. So I thought, when you go to the store, we have a store called Five Below, and they have a lot of interesting candy there, but the giant gummy bears, or I saw these giant gummy snakes, or giant Hershey Kisses, or I've seen a humongous sugar daddy before, or Kit Kat, whatever. So you can present that to the small group. But it's just a fun, unique theme. I've never seen it done except for in my mind, and it sounds really fun.
You can also buy one of those gigantic 6 foot tall beach balls, as long as you have an area that it's not going to get popped by random vegetation and stuff. Or you can get one of those cage balls. They're meant to last, but those are a lot more expensive.
Cage ball?
That at summer camp where you use those giant balls and you push them, the teams try and get into their corner and stuff.
Oh, you're in the ball?
No. That would be cool too. Those gigantic, we've had them at summer camp.
But why are you calling them a cage ball?
What do you call them?
Just a big giant ball.
Well, I think they're actually called cage balls. You weirdo. All right. We're going to quickly do a question of the day. And actually, I don't think this is really for us at all. This is all just for the listeners and viewers.
Oh, okay.
What is the most difficult part of ministry right now for you? So I can let you answer that, but I don't know. So put it in the comments section below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on a podcast, shoot over to YouTube and put it in the comments section. And then finally, we don't have a community comment of the day, but we did want to give a shout out to our latest Hall of Fame level Patreon contributor, William Sublet.
Thank
you, William.
Thank you. And if you guys ever feel led, hey, I want want to support this ministry in another way, you could be one of our Patreon members too. That easy. Just
we'll put the link in the description below. And again, thank you so much, William. For all those of you watching and listening, we thank you so much. And if you want a copy of the 20 theme ideas, ministrycoachpodcast@gmail.com. We'll see you next time. Welcome to the youth. And tonight, what the heck?
Best practices for your next fall kickoff event for your youth ministry.
But who wouldn't love that?
How is that any better?
What am I trying to say?